Blessed day, viewers and brethren. Today is yet another opportunity to sit and bless God through the testimonies that He has made through His people. The Bible said they overcame Him. They overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. This is the Emeralds Testimony Sunday. What is your story? Please join us as we get to know the story of Eunice. Eunice, welcome to the show. Kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Eunice Akoth, hello, Msendama. I was born in 1978 to a family of 8, 5 sisters and 3 brothers. To Mzee Eliud Washington Alo Makololo and Topas Opot Odera. I was born in Nairobi, Mpisha Hospital, and we stayed with my mom for a short while and then went home to Kakamega with my mom. That is where I stayed for a while. And then after some time, when we were still at home, I used to do some chores, some small chores. I was around 6, 7 years. And when I was with my mom had gone to the shamba and she left me with an uncle. We used to have people who used to come and split the firewood, bring water, such things. And when I was around 6 or 7 years, my mom left me to go to the shamba with this uncle who had a mentally handicapped. So he got hold of me. He was very strong. He used to have this extra energy. And I got molested as a child. And so when my mom came back, I tried to tell her about it and she didn't want to hear.
Let me understand this. You're the age of 7?
Yes, 6 or 7.
And so what did this do to you? That the fact that you told your mom and she didn't do nothing about it?
I could not understand what I did wrong. You know, you feel like is it my fault that this man did this? But you know you didn't do anything. You've never experienced anything like that before. And this is your mom. She's supposed to protect you. She's not saying anything. This man didn't stop coming. He was always coming. But now I was very fearful of men or anyone. I wouldn't be alone with a man.
So what happened after this? Did you feel, were you bleeding? Did you go and clean yourself?
No, he didn't really quite penetrate. So I didn't bleed or I was not in pain. He didn't quite penetrate, but it happened. Okay. So I felt disgusted. I was so disgusted. I didn't know what to do. I just went and washed that area. I didn't quite take a shower because I was thinking, will my mom beat me up? You know, those days, kids were there to be seen and not to be heard. You didn't ask questions. You just followed instructions. And you never talked about your feelings. Your feelings were not important.
So after this happened, did you talk to your dad? Where was your dad?
My dad was in Nairobi. My dad was working in Nairobi. We were at home with my mom.
Okay.
And so after a while, my dad came and took me to Nairobi because he wanted us to go to good schools in Nairobi. He didn't want us to go to up country schools. So I came to Nairobi. My dad said that he's going to teach me from the house, you know, how to read sounds and how to write numbers, so that he will just take me to class 1.
Oh, so you did a little bit of homeschooling.
Yes, my dad was really good with that. So I just went to class 1. That was in 1986. So I joined St. Anne's Primary in Jogoo Road. And we used to, when you are a girl, my dad used to take you to a girls only school. At that time, I think there were not many schools were mixed. Yeah, because I remember my sisters were in St. Teresa's girls, my brothers were in St. Teresa's boys. It was boys or girls school only. So I was in St. Anne's with my older sister, because I'm the 6th born. With my older sister in St. Anne's, she was 2 classes ahead of me. I started a bit late. So we went to St. Anne's Primary. We had a very good life. We used to live in Kimathi. I remember my dad used to take us for lunches in Norfolk. And there used to be this hotel called Curry Pot. Even up to date, I can remember the salad. Salad was really good. We always used to go out with my dad. He would take us places, and we used to drive, so it was all fun.
So basically, what you're telling me is when you moved to Nairobi, your dad was taking care of you, all the children.
Yes.
And your mom used to be in the village.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, there's this story about when you're in class 3. Tell me about that.
When I got to class 3, I started having my periods. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to tell. Because from the other incident, when I got molested and I told my mom and she didn't do anything about it. So I thought I'll be beaten. This is wrong. You just think it's wrong, even though you've not done anything. But to me, it was just, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Because my older sister had not seen anything like that. So why me? What was I sick? And I was, when you're sick, it's a headache. Being sick means having a headache or vomiting. So this one is happening in a very weird. So I never told anyone. I was in class 3. But there was a good friend of mine. She had repeated, this girl had repeated classes, so she was a bit older. But now you see, I was thinking, even if she's having periods, she's older than me. Me, I'm small. Why am I having this? So she told me, we were just chatting. I was very close. I would rather disclose something to my friend than my family. Okay. So she told me, yes, it happens every month.
So you didn't even notice it was happening every month?
It had just started.
Okay.
And I was scared. And I thought, if it goes away, that's it. So I was told every month. I was like, okay, oh God, help me now. I always used to call on the name of God because my parents were born again. Okay. So every evening we used to pray. So I knew when something is wrong, you just tell God, God help me. Okay. Even if you don't pray a long prayer. So I was telling.
So how did you manage? Because if you didn't know what it is and you were going to school, so how did you manage the bleeding?
I used to use vitambara. I would put vitambara. I didn't even know there was something called pads. Because my older sisters were always hiding their things. So, and you didn't go to we never used to share things in our house, that you share things with your sister. It was not like that. Everyone had their own stuff. So you wouldn't go snooping in your maybe sister's bag or anything. So I didn't know that there are pads, or I didn't know. So I would put vitambara just so that it doesn't get to my dress. Yes. So I used to put vitambara and then throw them, because vitambaras were many, so I don't need to wash them. I just throw them. I throw. And so we went like that. No one knew. Even my older sister that was in class 5 by then, she didn't know. In fact, she was taken now to boarding school in Maseno. I was now in St. Anne's alone. Because my dad used to do that so that the older one can take care of the smaller one. Yeah. But she never used to take care of me. She didn't even care. She didn't even like me. So when we were going to school, my dad would think that maybe she'll hold my hand, help me cross the road. That was not the case. She would be walking ahead with her friends. I would be behind, being pinched by people at the roadside and everything. So I had to be tough from a young age.
Okay. So now this is you in class 3. You continued being in St. Anne's.
Yeah.
So now tell me what happened when you were in class 5, that transition.
When we got to class 5, you remember I said that kids were there to be seen and not to be heard. You didn't ask questions. I don't know what happened with my dad's job. I don't know whether he resigned or he retired. I don't know. But the money was no longer there anymore. So we had to move from Kimathi to Umoja 2, a smaller house. We were just seeing things happening. You didn't ask. You were told tunahama, sasa imepungua, you move. So we moved to Umoja 2. We stayed there. My dad said, okay, since now he won't be going to work anymore, we are going to Ushago. That was I was in class 5. That was the first term. So the second term, I had to be in Ushago during this April holiday, so that second term finds me in school in Ushago. So we went home. We were used to this high life.
In Nairobi,
In Nairobi, you know, being driven around, because if in school, my dad would send the driver to come pick us up. We'd be taken home. If you're sick, he sends the driver. You're taken to hospital. You know, we were that was the life. And now we went home. Where the schools, you go barefoot to school. You carry cow dung. You carry firewood for the headmaster. The classes are made of mud classes.
Wow.
Terrible, just terrible classes. And the teachers are really cane you.
Let me understand. Why were you carrying cow down to school?
To smear on the floors of the classes.
So that was the work for
yes.
the students.
Yes.
Wow.
Every Friday you have to bomber the classes. Yes, because they are jiggers. So that the jiggers don't become many.
Okay.
Yes. So I had to learn, you know, to mix the cow dung with soil, and then you smear them on the floor. In fact, we learned it so well, and then you remove this. We didn't know that aloe vera was medicine. We knew it was for drawing the patterns on the floor.
That's interesting.
Yes, you remove them. You know, the way those stones, they're pointed like this. Those would be to draw the patterns nicely after you've smeared. They remove such nice patterns. Yes, so that's what we used to do. And that was our life.
How did this affect you mentally? The transition.
Now, when we got to Shago, there was no money. Like, we don't know what happened with my dad's job, because I know when people retire, there's pension or whatever. There was no money. So I remember the first day my mom put strong tea without even bread. I had never seen strong tea. The closest I'd seen was drinking hot water and drinking chocolate or Milo. Strong tea, no. No bread.
So you really didn't know what this is?
I didn't know. In fact, my sister used to say Coca-Cola moto. So, and then you have to go to school barefoot. And in class, 2 boys are seated. One is on your left, one is on your right. I was used to a girls-only school. My dad has told us, you don't mix with boys. You don't even sit next to a boy. The only boys I knew were my brothers.
Wow.
Those are the boys I knew, my brothers, my 3 brothers. And it really affected me. I used to cry and cry and cry until I got sick. I used to become very sick from also the weather, because I used to have malaria every time. I would be carried to hospital every time. And I developed this, I think that's where I developed ulcers, because I used to have this pain in my stomach. It would be so painful. I would just run from the class and collapse outside the class or by the roadside. People will find me by the roadside. I would be there. And since my mom knew herbs, she used to give me some herbs and they would help. But it was there for a long time. It happened for a long time, but it really affected me. I was thinking I'm going to die. This life, I just can't cope. But I just told myself, okay, it's not changing. Nothing is changing. I have to be here. I'm not being taken back to Nairobi, so let me just focus on my studies. So I told myself, I'm just going to focus on my studies because I used to do really well. And here I was with boys, and I was told you can't beat boys. I was in a girls only school, so they thought I used to do well because it was girls only. And I was told you can't beat boys. Now here you won't become number one anymore. So I said, okay, we'll see. Because I love challenges, I told myself, I'm going to beat the boys. And that was also a way of making them not not chokoza me, because they know, okay, she's very bright, so we can do, because, I'll tell them, sinilikushinda. So, so it was also a way of protecting myself.
Okay.
So I was there. I started, when you're in Ushago, you're in class with some old girls and some really old boys.
Yes.
So from the influence, they have girlfriends, they have boyfriends. Some are even married. Some who are in class 8 are even married. They leave their wives at home and they come to school. So that's where they started introducing me to boys and going out to disco matanga at night. We would hide because my parents would really cane you. We used to be caned thoroughly.
Wait, just explain what is disco matanga.
Disco matanga is when somebody dies, they are buried. So, I think it's in African culture or in Kenya, in Western, when it's a man, I think they have to stay there for 4 days. And when it's a woman, it's 3 days. I'm not exactly sure. But they have to stay there around where this man has been buried for 3 days. So those 3 days, and then there's fire. There's fire, it's put there. It's called arita in Kijaluo. So they stay there, people, they bring disco, so people dance. So that the people who are staying there, the owners of the boma, don't feel left alone.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are keeping them company. As we are there dancing, we are keeping them company until the 3 days are over. Then
So this introduction to boys and disco matanga happened to you when you were in class 7, 8?
class 5.
Class 5.
Yes.
Wow.
By third term now. Now I had become
Your transition.
yes. Things were not
took up the
changing,
village
so I
life.
had to join. If you can't beat them, join them.
Okay.
So, and my mom would not listen. If you are crying at what, she would not listen. She just go to school. You have to get used to those boys. Now, it was very different from what my dad taught us. You're not supposed to mix with boys. And now my mom is telling you, you have to get used to those boys. So I said, okay, fine.
Tell me about so did this affect your education? You've just told me that you moved to education as your pillar, and you transitioning and showing them that I am still it, even in the village. So tell me your transitioning with education from now class 5 to class 8. How was it?
It was really good. Even if I go to Disco Matanga at night, I used to beat them. I'll revise, I'll do my studies. By the time I'm coming to Disco Matanga, I've done my homework, I've done everything that I need to do. And with me, I don't want to boast, but I think I was just bright. Because even if I don't read, I would pass exams. Sometimes I wouldn't even study, but I would pass exams. Like the way people say, oh, you revise, you put your feet in cold water. I never did that. I never did that. In fact, when I do that now, I become confused because I'm putting so much in my head. So I really used to concentrate when the teacher is in class. Really concentrate on what she's teaching on that subject. Immediately she's done. When I go home that day, that is the day I chew it again, and it's stuck.
Okay.
Yes.
So how tell me your KCPE?
And in my, now I did my class 8. I did very well. I was called to Moi Girls, Kamusinga. It's in Kimilili near Mount Elgon. So my dad decided he's going to take me to school. So we went, and it was far. It was really far. Mount Elgon is just here, and it was cold. So I went. I had never been away from my family. I had never been away from my family. This was the first time. So I went, and my sister, who had gone to boarding school from class 5, you know, she would not tell you anything. She didn't like me. So I could ask, oh, how is boarding? Did they explain? She would. She was just, I don't know. So I went to boarding. I learned the hard way. But the good thing with that school, there was no bullying. At all, at all, at all, at all. There was.
It's actually a very good school.
Yes, there was no bullying. So no, I was not bullied. So I went there the first time. That's the time I became number 2. The first time I became number 2.
Just stop there. Viewers, don't go away. Now, this is where it gets interesting. She does her class 8, does very well, goes to a new school, studies 1 term, and then this happens. We'll be right back. Welcome back, viewers. Eunice, kindly continue.
Now, school closed. My dad came to pick me because it was really far. I couldn't go back home alone. We had taken like 4 vehicles to school. My dad came for me. We went back home. And as I was waiting for the holidays to be over so that I can go back to Form 2, my dad tells me, there's no money.
Oh my goodness.
There's no money. He has sold everything, the cattle, the land. He had land in Moroni. He had sold it. There was no money.
So let me understand. So your dad takes you out from picks you from school after you close, and tells you there's no money. What about your siblings who are ahead of you? Had they finished their schooling, or there's also someone else who did not manage to finish their schooling before you?
They had finished their schooling. My sister, the one who was right ahead of me, was in 4th form. She was in 4th form. So I'm the one, I was joining now Form 1. But now that's where there was no money anymore. In fact, my sister she got to 4th form, but she didn't do her exams. Now from me and my 2 brothers, there was no money. Yeah, so we had to look for ways of how we can make money. And we used to have this amazing house girl. She had been with us for so many years, and I was really close to her. She was like a mother to me. She taught me a lot. So now she comes up with this idea. She tells my mom, okay, we can sell groundnuts at the roadside in Ushago so that we can get money for pads, for slippers, for like clothes, panties, you know, just the small things. So we started selling groundnuts. In fact, up to now, I can do very good. I'm really good at doing groundnuts. So we would roast the groundnuts and sell them by the roadside. And you know me now being Otero in Ushago, we would really sell because all the boys were saying, hey, they have to buy. So that is where I think I also learned business. Yes, so we would really sell groundnuts. We were really the business was doing well. And at the end of the day, we give our mom the money. You don't keep the money. We give our mom, so she decides, okay, you need new, maybe you don't have slippers. You need this, you need that, you know. And we were not doing our hair. Ilikuwa ni kunyolewa, so there was nothing like hair. So we stayed like that, and now the other people I was in school with were getting married. You know, they're just getting married there at the village. In the morning, they go to the shamba, ama they palilia for somebody to get some little money. I looked at that life and told myself, this is not the life for me. This is not the life for me. Life was really tough, and there was this time for hunger. It was so known in Ushago, like they were saying even the rich have succumbed to hunger. it got to everyone. At that time, people didn't harvest properly. It was famine. So we used to take leaves, pili leaves. We cook them, we eat. Sometimes we used to boil beans when beans are just still, okay, they are ready, but they're not dry, you know, when they're still soft. We ate that for a long time. We boil the beans, not with maize, just beans. We take with hot water, with strong tea. We did that for a very long time. And in fact, we adjusted. I was really big. I really added weight. We had even adjusted to that now. And now my brother, who was in college in Maseno, was also home because there was no money. So he used to burn charcoal. He goes sells in the market. After he sells, he buys maize. He takes to the posho mill there. He comes back with unga for us to have ugali. My mom would like take those leaves, or sometimes the mrenda. You know, mrenda just grows. You don't even have to plant it. We'll have that, or beans and strong tea. But we never went hungry. We never went hungry. My mom really tried with my dad. My dad was now selling Panadol. Imagine, my dad was a chief accountant. He had a really good position. So he was now selling Panadol. My mom was selling sugar. We'd go get sugar from the market. She sells in the village. And that's how we survived. But now I was telling my sister, you have to come and take me. My older sister, our firstborn. I was telling her, hey, me, in fact, mom and dad don't even like me. They hate me. I would tell any story because I want to get out of there. And okay, as a teenager, I was feeling like my mom doesn't like me because, you know, I'll be beaten because of going to Disco Matanga and having boyfriends. So I would be beaten because my sister, the one who was ahead of me, was these quiet ones. So they were like, you are spoiling your older sister. And now I told my sister, no, me, they don't like me. Me, even if I die, they won't care. You just take me out. They won't even care. You just come and take me. They won't even say it. Unapeleka wapi Eunice, take me. So finally, after pressing my sister for around 2 years, she came for me. Because I wanted to be like her when I grew up. She used to have these nice weaves and nice watches, and her skin was just silk. Like, she was my role model. I wanted to walk like her. I used to copy her walking style.
Oh, wow.
And when she used to come, she used to bring shopping. It used to be carried with the mkokoteni.
Wow, so
like ungangano bundle, sukari. And she used to bring me nice clothes, like really nice clothes.
for you, Nairobi was the it.
And be like my sister, my older sister. She's called Mary. I wanted to be like Mary. Walk like her, talk like her, just be her. And she really loved me. So we came to Nairobi. Little did I know that what I was seeing was not...
The reality check happened.
Yes. And reality hit me. You know, I used to think she's wealthy, she's living in this big house, the way we used to live with our dad. And it was not the case. So we came to Nairobi, things were really tough. Things were really tough. And I really wanted to go. I was thinking, maybe if I go to Nairobi, I can even go back to school. That was the excitement. Maybe I can go back to school. And when I came to Nairobi, no one was taking me back to school. And I remember after staying with my older sister for a while, our third born was expectant. And she said, okay, can I have Eunice? At least she can help me at this time. So I went to stay with our third born.
So your third born, so your first, second, and third born sisters were in Nairobi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I went to stay with our third born. And when she was in labor, I took her to hospital. I was very responsible. So I took her to hospital. She gave birth. I was there now to take care of the baby. And after taking care of the baby, 2 years later, after taking care of the baby, I told them, can't I go back to school? 2 years later, can I go back to school? She told me, unless you get someone who will pay for you. So I think, now where will I get someone who will pay for me?
So this is your sister Mary? Or
No, the third born
the
now.
third born now?
Yes,
the one
she's
you're
the.
taking care of the child.
Yes, now the child has grown, and I really took good care of the child. In fact, people used to think that it's my baby because she was in the university, so I'm the one who used to be home with the baby. And people used to think she's my baby, and we're like, yeah, she's mine. I really used to like babies. And I was wishing I had a small sister, and she was a girl. So I was like, now this is like my small sister. I used to go to the everywhere with her. I get money and I'll buy for her clothes. Some nice nice clothes, and she was really nice. She introduced me to someone because I was really scared. I wanted someone who my sister knows. That's the only person I'll accept. Yes. So she introduced me to someone. I think at that time I was 17. Yes, I was 17 years old, I remember. And this man was even married.
But you
He
didn't
was a
have
lawyer.
a moral meter.
I didn't have a moral meter, and I was desperate.
Okay.
I was really desperate. If he's going to pay for me, I'm going. So I came to Huruma Girls here, and I asked. I've been away from school for 2 years, and they told me, we've never seen a young girl coming to look for school for themselves. Where are your parents? Where, And I was like, no, there's no one. It's just me. And this man agreed to pay. So I was excited. In fact, I have friends who I was with in Form 1 in Huruma Girls, and I don't even think they know that I was not their age. And I went, and he paid first term only. Again, the disappointment. I was just, at this point, I was just tired. I said, okay, God, I don't know what you want with me.
And by that time, tell me, tell me by this time, your parents were born again, so you had a foundation.
Yes.
Of being a believer.
Yes.
So at this point, how was your relationship with God?
I could just pray. I was not born again. I could just pray. I could go out. I used to go out a lot. I was a party girl, I used to go out a lot. But I also knew that there's God. And that conviction, I used to feel like I need God. But where do I start? Where do I start? Everyone I'm staying with is out is a party animal. So where do you even start? And your parents are there up country, and I'm not going back up country.
It's not an option.
It was not an option.
Yes.
I have to make it and go back when I'm carrying something for them.
Yes.
So we stayed in Nairobi. It was just that party life, meeting men, it was just drinking, boyfriends, that life. And I went out a lot, married men. It didn't matter. I didn't even know it was wrong to date a married man. So in fact, there's this particular guy I met because I wanted that good life, the way my dad, the way we were living with my dad. So I met this man, and he's the one who was giving me this life now. And I told myself, I've hit a jackpot.
How old were you?
At this time, I was 20. Okay. I was 20. And 2021. And so we used to, now I had that life. Anything I wanted, the place I want to go out to, if I want to sleep in Intercontinental for the night, I'll sleep in Intercontinental. If I want shoes that cost 10,000, I'll have them, And for this, I was with him for the first year. It was okay. Things were really, I was like, yes, this is the one. And my family really loved him. And I remember we used to go out to, these places where musicians are singing. And they used to say, Ja Red Cross, like mtu wa Red Cross. So I was asking, kwani does he work with Red Cross?
You didn't even know where he worked?
No. I just knew he had so many businesses. So I was thinking, does he work with Red Cross? And then he has these businesses. I knew some of his businesses even. And there are things he never used to tell me. He would just be like, Eunice, you don't want to know everything, because I later came to realize he used to have lots of fake money sometimes. That he used to give us vouchers, shopping vouchers for Nakumatt and Uchumi and all that. So life was good. And for 1 year, that was fine. But then I thought to myself, if this man goes, who will give me this life? And I was now really doing well in that life. I was like, how will I continue this life? Because I was sending my parents money every month, shopping and money every month. So they were okay. They were doing okay. And at that time, my dad had even come back to Nairobi because Ushago was just too much. So she said maybe she'll try to be a consultant.
Okay, in the field that he was working on.
Yes. Okay. And he even got a job. He was doing well. He was not doing very bad, but he was living now in Mwiki, Kasarani. Okay. So things were good. And I remember the way I was moving from one sister's house to another, the older one, the second born, the third born, I was just moving around. And there's a time I went to live with our second born. Now she was born again. The husband was an assistant pastor at that time. Yeah. And she sat me down. She really, really loved me, but she passed on. She sat me down and told me, Eunice, I'm going to tell you the truth. You have to stop dating this man. Because he'll never be yours. He's somebody's husband. He'll never be yours.
First time someone is actually facing you.
Yes.
Telling you that what you're doing is actually wrong.
Wrong. No one had ever told me that what I'm doing is wrong. My parents didn't know this life that I was living.
They just knew the money is coming.
The money was going. So they were just okay. I'd lie. I'll tell them, oh, I'm doing this business. Yeah. And I was also doing promotions. You know, these promotions you do in the supermarket, yes, buy this, get... Yes, I used to do those. In fact, I was really good. Everything I focused on, I really used to do it with my whole heart. I remember there's a time I was doing promotions for Blue Band. I sold all the Blue Band mpaka ile iko kwa store. Wow. They didn't have Blue Band in the store. Everything was sold. I was that good. So I went around in so many supermarkets, Safeway, Zimmerman, wapi. So they knew the money was coming from that. They didn't know the money was coming from, because this money was not that much. They didn't know it was coming from this guy. And so I went on with that life. And I told myself, okay, I need to be independent. I wanted to be independent. Have my own money, not me being given every time. So I told this guy, because he had money, I told him, can you just pay for me a computer college? And he said, okay, I'll pay for you. So I rushed to IAT in Buruburu. And I took the fee structure and I brought it to him. And I told him, okay, I think it was 20-something thousand. I'm not so sure. And he said he'll pay. And I waited and waited and waited. He was not paying. But we would go out and spend more than 20,000 in a night. And so I was like, why can't he pay for me this course? And so I said, okay, this is not the man for me.
Welcome back, viewers. Eunice, yes, let's go back. You are supposed to make a choice.
Yes, I had to make a choice to leave this man because he was holding me back. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to have a job. I wanted to have my own money, not being given, not being kept. I didn't want to be kept. So I decided to ask my sister, our third born. She was living in Buruburu with her boyfriend. And so I went to my sister's place and I asked her, can your boyfriend get me a job in the coffee company where he's working? And she told me, yes, I'll ask him. Because they knew I was kept in this high life. So they were thinking, can Eunice do casual labor? So the boyfriend came and said, can you do hand picking? And I said, yes, I can. I said, are you sure? I was like, yes, I can do it. And so she told me, okay, get ready on Monday, we are going to work. So we went to the coffee company. She told me to go to the hand picking, where we used to hand pick coffee. You remove the bad beans from the green coffee. And so I was there, and the supervisor really hated me. This guy really he would see me and it's like he was seeing the devil himself.
Oh no.
So my brother-in-law suspected that I was not comfortable. So he asked me, are you comfortable or do you want to work in another place? And he told me there are two options. You either handpick coffee or you clean the warehouse. And in fact, I thought about it and I was like, okay, handpicking coffee is seasonal. It's a season. It stops and then you're stopped. You don't go for work for a while. But cleaning the warehouse, the warehouse has to be clean. So I told him I want to clean the warehouse. He was shocked. And I was like, are you sure? I said yes. When I'm cleaning the warehouse, you won't stop. I'll continue working.
So basically you have making this move was just that you can be independent.
Yes.
That you are ready to get out from the high horse life you're living for you to move out. So by this time you had realized that this is not going anywhere.
Exactly. You remember this picture I had of my sister? I used to think my sister is independent. She's making her money. That's why she can do all these things. Only to come to Nairobi and realize that was not the case. But I still wanted that. I wanted to be independent, have my money, dress well, have those nice weaves. So I thought if I have my own job, I can do whatever I want. It's my money. I can have my own house, pay my own rent. I will not ask anyone for anything. So I started cleaning the warehouse, and I was really cleaning the warehouse. I would sweep out even outside the warehouse door. I would make sure even the parking, it's very clean. When the bosses come, when they're parking their cars, that place is clean, the warehouse is clean. And with time, my sister's boyfriend left the company. So there was another warehouse manager, because my sister's boyfriend was the warehouse manager and he left. So there was a new warehouse manager. He also didn't like me.
Oh,
The spirit of rejection was going with me everywhere. And so he introduced, I think he's the one who introduced, he said, we are going to be, because the casuals used to clean their own toilets. And he said, Eunice and another lady, we were going to clean the casuals' toilets. And yes, and I said, it's okay, because I was telling God, I prayed for a job. This is the one you gave me. I'll do it. And I believe in the Bible where it says, whatever you do, do it as if unto God and not to man. And I remember I used to wake up very early, just to go and clean those toilets. Because I was saying the walls are dirty. The way people apply feces on the walls. And I would say, I'm going to wear gloves and clean even the walls. So that the toilets were really, really clean. And so I used to do that. And I remember there's a day I woke up very early. At that time, I had met this guy, Yusuf. And when we were going to work, because he was living in Buruburu and I was also living in Buruburu with my sister. So we used to go to work together. And we met thugs. And they just put a pistol on my head and they said, lie down. And I thought, okay, this is the day I die. And so we were down there and I told them, I just lied and told them, I'm taking him to the hospital, just take what I have. I didn't want them to take both our phones. I just said, maybe if they get away with one phone, at least we'll have one phone left. So they believed me that I was taking him to the hospital, and they took my bag. They took the money that was there, and they threw the coins at me and they said, hizi hatuna haja nazo. And so we had to go back to a nearby shop to tell them to give us money because they knew us. And so we went to work.
Let me just say this for clarity. Yusuf is a gentleman who used to work in the warehouse. And when she was in the toilet, that is when Yusuf located her. So this story she's giving of them being met by thugs is after they had been married and they were living together and they were working in the same company. So they were going to the office. Thank you for that. Please continue, Eunice.
Yes, so we went to work, and since the warehouse manager didn't like me, there's a we used I was based in the warehouse, and then there was the main office where the bosses were. And now since there's a T girl who used to be in the main office, she was going on leave, and the chief liquorer from the main office came to the warehouse manager and asked, can you give us one casual who can replace Beatrice for this 1 month that she's going on leave? And the warehouse said, take Eunice, because he didn't like me anyway. So he was throwing me there.
Good riddance.
Yes. And so I went to hold that position for Beatrice while she's on leave. My work was to clean the office, the main office, to make coffee for the boss, to make tea for everyone there, and just to make sure the kitchen was clean and everything, and to give him lunch, because I remember he used to have 2 bananas, 1 yogurt, 1 apple, always, nothing else. And so I did that job very well, being brought up with my dad, who was very strict and very clean, very neat, very specific. I was good at that. And so I did this for this 1 month. And by the time this lady was coming from leave, she no longer had that position. Not because not because I said I wanted the position, but because the boss felt that I was doing a much, much better job than her. And so this lady was so pissed off. She was so pissed off. In fact, she took some leave. She went back home. And she said that I was not educated. You remember, I was just I'm just a class 8, yeah, because in Form 1 I was there for only 1 term. And so she said I'm using witchcraft and all kinds of things. But the boss stuck to that. And so I worked there. And since for such a long time, you remember I wanted to know how to operate a computer. Yes. I had that paper of IAT for so many years in my bag. And when I met Yusuf, who is now my husband, he asked me, what do you want to do? And I told him, I just want to go to a computer college. And so he took a loan to pay for me. And I remember when I took the fee structure, someone made fun of me and told me, which college is this? These are just Reja colleges. You should have gone to IAT. Now what are these? And I told her, that's what I can afford. That's what we can afford. Because my husband was also a casual. And so I went to college and I started learning computer. I used to go during the weekends. Weekdays I'm at work. And now when you finished making tea, you go to the sample room where they taste coffee. The chief liquorer is there. And I was doing so well also. I was put in charge of Tanzania coffee.
Okay, so now that was a promotion.
Yes.
So while you're doing that, was someone else given this job for taking care of the boss, or you're still doing that?
I'm still doing it. The boss refused. He said, no. Eunice is the one who gives me my coffee. Is the one who gives me my lunch.
Okay. Yes. Now let me take you back a bit. I want to find out, during this journey, after your sister talking to you about leaving this guy and you changing your life and getting this, how was your spiritual life? Had you given your life to Christ yet, or you're still trying to figure that out?
I had given my life to Christ and backslid. The backsliding came because I was not living with my sister who is born again. I was now living with this other sister who is in Buruburu, who is not born again, who is also loves to party. And so you were caught up. Yes, I was caught up in that. And so I backslid. And that's how I met Yusuf. But the guilt was eating me up. You know, I really loved my relationship with God. You know, he was my best friend. You know, I always say God had been my best friend for the longest time because he's the only one I used to tell things. I could not tell my parents. I could not tell. So it was just, in fact, I used to say, Jesus, sit here, me, I sit here. And I talk, yes. I talk and I laugh. You know, I'm thinking maybe
was
we are giving
actually
each other
having-
high five.
Wow.
Jesus has been my friend. He is still my friend. I still do that. When things are really tough, I tell you, Jesus, you sit in that big seat, let me sit here. Even when I'm in pain, that's what I do. I never pray when I'm in pain. I just tell him, sit there. I'll just cry. I'll talk to you, I'll cry, and then you heal me
So how long did it take you to get back
to Christ.
to Christ? What convicted you to get back? So now you're married to Yusuf. You have backslid. I'm assuming Yusuf is a Muslim,
Yes,
and you things are going well for you work-wise, eh?
yes.
So at that point, how did you get back to Christ?
It was when I got pregnant and I had my baby, and now we were living in Umoja. And I started praying to God, telling him, direct me to the right church. Because you're thinking, which church do you even go to? There are so many churches. And the Holy Spirit guided me to that church, First Love. And when I went there, I just went to the altar and cried. Because I wanted to raise my child right. I was so grateful for the far God had taken me in my job. You know, come from a class 8 dropout to cleaning the toilets to now I'm even in computer college. I was like, okay, God, this is you. So I just wanted to thank him and to serve him and to have that relationship with him. And so I gave my life back to Christ. And now when I was in college, the boss said that the Tanzania work is going to be transferred to Kenya. And he realized that I could handle it. And the next day, I had a laptop, I had a desk next to my boss.
Now, you had already been promoted to take care of the Tanzanian coffee. Now, this is another promotion coming.
Yes.
Wow.
This is another promotion now. I was going to, I didn't know what they didn't give me a title at that time. They just told me you'll be in charge of the Tanzania coffee. So he told me you'll be managing the stocks, Tanzania stocks. So I learned, I'm a very fast learner, I learned very well. And that was another thing for me to be grateful to God. I just had stories of people, God elevating you and all that. It had never happened to me. And I was so grateful. And so I really started like really being serious. I was now very serious with God. I was so focused. I would go to church. I would fast. I would pray regularly, you know. In fact, I worked there. I got the position. I was given a position of the assistant logistics. I was assistant to the logistics manager. I worked there, another promotion. And now when the company was closing, the logistics manager was leaving. And so since I was the assistant, I was now given the position of the logistics manager in that company. So we moved to a new company, Louis Dreyfus, with the same boss, Charles Sierra Cardoso. I can never forget that guy. You had to be able to work in any area. You can handle petty cash, you can handle admin, you can handle way bills, you can handle the reception, you can handle, like I can work in all those areas comfortably.
Multitasking.
Yes. So I worked there, and now this guy was leaving, so I was the logistics manager. And since Burundians were messing up, Tanzanians were messing up, they said, okay, you're going to be the regional. So I was in charge of Burundi, Kenya, and Tanzania.
Again, another promotion.
Yes, another promotion. And the money was good, the position was great. I was like, in the server, I had access to like 20 things. So the IT guys used to come and tell me, okay, when mdosi aje kwa hii company, we are told to give you access to this and this and this. While these ones, they only have access to like a few. Yeah, so I did that job well, I can say. And now my son was growing. My son didn't know me. And I said, okay, I don't want this job anymore. And I quit.
Wow.
I quit, and I said I want to bring up my son. And my boss moved to another company. Charles moved to another company called Amajaro. He called me back, better pay, It's the favor of God. And also working hard. You have to work hard. Yes. So he called me again to Amajaro. It's at Wilson, around Wilson Airport, Wilson Business Park. So I went there. I worked for 3 months. I could not do it. I just wanted to stay home and raise my son.
Okay.
And so I quit.
You quit.
Yes, I quit.
Tell me about that transition.
When I quit, I knew it was going to be a big, big issue with my husband, with my family, because at that time, I now just had a standing order. 5,000 goes to my mom, and the tithe, and then my mom, 5,000, and then my son's account. I had standing orders. So people were enjoying the money. I was not. I didn't have a life. I totally didn't have a life. And I said, this is enough. My son was not even speaking. 5 years, he could not speak.
So you felt you were missing out on the
Yes,
bigger
I was
picture,
missing out.
which is your family.
He was the most important thing to me, not the job, not the money. My son was the most important thing to me. And I wanted to raise my son in a different way than I was raised. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be his friend. I wanted to know what he's feeling. Did anyone hurt him? In fact, even when I had house girls, I would wash my son. I would clean him. No one has ever touched my kids. I would clean them myself. When you're a house girl, you cook, clean. Watoto wangu niwachie. I didn't want what happened to me to happen to my kids. And I wanted to be a better mother than my mom. And so I continued bringing back my son. When I left the job, I went to fast for 2 weeks because I knew I might get a divorce.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was serious. I'm not joking.
Who quits from a regional manager?
Yes. And I thought, okay, divorce is coming. So let me just fast. Let me cushion myself in God. So that I don't hit the floor very hard. And when I left with the plastic sealer. I went to my brother-in-law's house and got a plastic sealer and that roll for ice. And I told myself I'm going to sell ice for 1 shilling. Those
Wait.
ice that...
So regional manager quit the job, started raising the son, went back to hawking
Yes.
1 shilling ice creams.
Yes. Not ice cream, ice.
Ice, not ice cream,
is this
ice.
nice one.
Zile
with
za
cream.
karatasi, zile za
Yes,
those ones,
za
colored
juala,
ones.
Yes.
Wow.
For 1 shilling. Because I told God, you said you'll bless the work of our hands. I'm not lazy. Whatever work, I'll do it. I'll work. I won't stay at home and beg for money. I'm going to work hard. So if there's work, I'll do it. Yeah. And I had prayed for 2 weeks. And God was with me in this. And so I started selling ice near 2 schools were there. And I started selling ice. And by like 2 days, I was also selling bajia for 1 shilling. Those ones for 1 shilling.
Wow, truly business was...
Yes, I had learned from my sister.
Yeah.
The one who was born again. She was really hardworking and she was always doing business. She was a very good influence on me. And so I was selling ice for 1 shilling and bajia for 1 shilling. When school kids come, they buy. And with that money, I was managing to save 2,000 shillings per week in a chama called Jamii Bora. I didn't care that people will see me. I didn't care. I was making money. I was happy.
Your money.
My peace means a lot to me. My peace means a lot to me. I'll do anything to have my peace.
Wow. Now, this is what I want you to explain. You started selling ice cream. You were making 2,000. You even became a lender to your husband.
Yes.
Now, give me the story of how you ended up in the business that you are in right now.
Kanjo really used to chase us. And I was done with running. And so I told myself, okay, let me look for another business because businesses are there. So I started going to Kikomba to get shears and bed sheets and duvets, you know. And I also like knitting so much, so much. I can even cut a material and do my own curtain box, you know. And so I started making curtains. I'll do like for you a matching curtain box. I don't have a machine, but I'll do it just with my hands. And I was selling. I was really selling. In fact, my husband was like, he was like, wow, I like your zeal. And he would, sometimes if the business is down, he would even lend me money. Yes, he used to really promote my business because he was like, wow, okay, you are serious. You are not going to sit at home and beg. And so I was praying a lot. In fact, what made me happy, I had time for my son. I had time for prayer. That is what excited me the most. I could just, every hour, I used to spend every hour from 3 to 4 p.m. during the day. I would just lock myself and pray, you know. I'm not working in an office, so I have all this time. I would fast. I used to pray a lot, a lot, a lot. And so my business was really doing well. But you know, with curtains and bed sheets, you know, people don't buy them all the time. Yes. So there's a time business is down, people are not buying, they've already bought so much. Okay. So I was thinking, okay, what else? And I really love to cook so much. And I was thinking, my husband is a very good cook. For so many years, he's the one who used to cook like chapatis and all that. And I was thinking, if my son joins school, he'll be telling kids that Daddy is the one who cooks. And I didn't want my son to be embarrassed. I did not want my son to be embarrassed. I wanted him to be proud of his mom. And I tell say, her mom is a very good cook. Yes, her mom is everything he's ever wanted. And so there's a friend, a neighbor. She used to make, she knows how to make like every snack in this world. And she was my friend. She's also a Muslim. She's called Hamida. And I told her, can you teach me to make snacks? And she says, yeah. So I used to be at her house like every day. So today we are making this. And I told you, I'm a very fast learner. Like I would even watch her doing it and I'll do it. And I would go to my house, make and bring her. How did I do? You know, she had to mark the exam. And she was so happy that I was learning like this. And she taught me how to make so many snacks. She comes from Malindi, so you know those Constarian snacks? Yeah. She taught me so much, and I was so proud. And my son was enjoying all the snacks, and I was just happy. And you know, I was praying, and everything was just, all things work together for good.
For those who love the Lord.
Amen. And things were really good. And so people started, why don't you do this as a business? Why don't you do this as a business? Why don't you do this as a business? And my husband was now also very happy because he was getting all the snacks he wants. Yeah. So everyone was happy. And my niece told me, there's this organization, an NGO, that they're teaching people how to run successful businesses because so many people do businesses but which fail. I wanted to run a successful business. And you just register with 500 and they take you through the course. I was like, hey, do you know the way people are conning? Can you imagine if they collect that 500, how much? These are con men.
Yeah, you're thinking like a Kenyan.
Yes. I said, I told, let's Google them. So we Googled. And I was like, youth banner. I was like, okay, I can see them. I said, okay, let me try. Let me just take the risk. So I went and registered, and they were genuine. So I started attending the classes. Sometimes I could even walk from Umoja to Dandora. Yeah. Yes. You know, my life really came down. But I didn't mind. As long as I was raising my son and I could pray, I was happy. So I would go, we would attend the classes, entrepreneurship, business management. They would do these business clinics. And then at the end of it, there were seminars. And you know, when you go for those business clinics, they even give you money. 500 for fare, you know, such things. Youth Banner, it was an amazing organization, an amazing, you know, this is just God. I always say God sent them my way, because after some time they went. Yes. And so the teacher there, she's called Joan Magua, very good lady. She told me, what did I told her I've started making cakes. And she told me I was using Jiko. And she told me, see, you buy those small ovens. I knew ovens are those ones for 40 and 60,000. I didn't know there were small, I never knew. I told them, see, it's only micro. It is no oven, not a microwave oven. I was like, I've never seen. So when I came, I told my husband, Atikwani, there are small ovens. She told me, Ebu, I'll check. So I just left it at that. I continued with my Jiko. And I went to the entrepreneurship classes and the business classes with Youth Banner. I completed, I graduated. Wow. And one day my husband surprised me with a small oven. Wow. I have it today. Wow. And I started baking. How I was baking and calling people, kujeni nimetengeneza cake. Wow. I used to think cakes were made with these people from another planet. Kwanza Black Forest. That one I thought, it's just a machine that makes that one. I used to love Black Forest and I didn't know how to make them.
So this now the baking and all this, you were taught by your friend Hamida, it's just self-interest and the school?
She taught me once. She told me, this is how you bake on a Jiko.
So you went on a self-discovery?
Yes. So I after she told me, I went and baked. I put everything together. But it came out so well. I remember that cake up to now. It came out so well. I even took a photo. It had no icing. It was like a small one, because I was saying, hey, since I'm trying, you do a small one so that you don't throw away a big cake. If it backfires, it's just like a small one. It came out so well. I was like, kumbe, I can bake. I can make a cake.
So now, fast forward to now. How
Yes.
do you do your marketing? How many years has it been doing this?
It's been 5 years.
Wow.
Yes. I went to college. My husband saw my BD. Yes. And he took me to college. I went to college in Yaya Center. And then I went to another college in Blueberry and Spice Events. And we graduated. The graduation was really nice. And so I opened a Facebook page. That's how I started my marketing. And when I was in college, since they give you, whatever you bake, you carry home. This is what I used to market with. The ones I carry home, I take to my friends. Hebu onja. Then they started giving me orders.
So that's where you are up to now?
That's where
So
I am.
It's a full-time business?
It's a full, successful
What's the name of your business?
Eunice Bakes and Snacks. I do snacks. I do cakes. I even do chocolates, Topaz chocolates. There's a page for chocolates, Topaz chocolates. And it's been great. Wow. It's been amazing. Wow. God has been there. Okay,
now tell me, that's really amazing. And I would really like you to just, what is this you would tell women about resilience and just trusting God? Just give like a final word that you would say to these people as an encouragement.
You know, most people look for so much money to start a business. You don't need to. When I started my ice money, I had 40 shillings. 40. And I started. Just start. Pray. Just kneel. You don't even need to go to Pastor Sui who. You have your knees. Someone told me, si uko na hii magoti mbili? Kneel down, pray to God. God will bless the work of your hands. Wow. Whatever you have in your hands. Moses just had that stick. Yes. God asked him, what do you have? And he had that. What do you have in your hands? Do you have 50 shillings? You can start. You can start with that 50 shillings. You can go and get tomatoes for 20 and vitungu and sell. Get a profit, go back. You have now have 100. Go back, take it, sell. So I will encourage women. What do you have? What do you have? Do you know there are people who've started businesses without money? Without money. They have something in the house, they just come and tell you, I'm selling this. Something maybe they've never, maybe a dress somebody brought them, they've never, I'm selling dresses. Can you buy this? They sell it. Now they have money.
Wow.
They go.
So what you're saying is, remember your needs is your greatest asset.
Yes.
Start where you are.
Yes.
Don't give up.
Yes.
And what would you say in terms of just combining all these things and also embracing social media, the way you're saying social media really helped you in your business? Is that something you would encourage people to learn about and to just start?
So much. If Facebook is free, you know, so many people have told me, fungua website.
For 5 years, my business has been on Facebook. I've done, I can't even begin to tell you. When people were like crying, hakuna pesa, biashara iko chini, my business was doing well. Mpaka you're afraid to say, hey, mi yangu iko sawa, you know? But my business has been doing well. And I even started like a kind of a charity organization. I called it Hold My Hand, because there was no one to hold my hand until I met my husband. I had no one to hold my hand. So I hold the hands of the youths. We've sponsored so far 3 boys. They are learning, they are doing courses. I just ask them, what do you want to do? Let me not force you to do something that you don't want. And we hold their hand, and I make sure I pay for their fees. And that's my joy, holding somebody's hand. When God blesses you, when you get to that point, when God has blessed you, don't wait to have millions. When you reach a point where you don't go hungry, you feel like, okay, God, at least you've lifted me to this point. Hold somebody's hand. Just hold their hand. I've seen people in slums helping fellow kids in the slums. And in fact, this woman encouraged me. She's selling ice, the ones I was selling for 1 shilling. And she was helping these kids. So anyone can, don't say it's mimi sina. Anyone can do something. Wow. You can hold somebody's hand.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Eunice. Viewers, as you've heard, hold someone's hand. Make sure that your knees are your greatest asset. Start where you are. That's the amazing testimony of Eunice. And like we say here at Emeralds, we give God all the glory. Until next time, have a good night.